Antony walked along South Chicago Avenue as the night wind swept across the wide industrial belt that stretched toward Calumet Harbor. Cargo trucks groaned past in slow, heavy movements, their headlights cutting through the cold air. The harbor skyline flickered with orange loading lights, cranes suspended like towering skeletons against the cloudy night. This was not a place a scholarship student from the University of Illinois Chicago was ever supposed to be. But Antony wasn't here as a student tonight. He was here on a call from Talicio, the friend who had slowly pulled him into a world he barely understood. The drizzle that had fallen earlier left the pavement wet and reflective. Antony approached a rusted metal door, the paint chipped and covered with faded tags written by people who lived and died in these back streets long before he came to America. When he pushed it open, the air inside changed. The broken warehouse smelled of oil, cigarette smoke, and old metal. A group of men stood around a work table. They were members of the Black Timber Crew, one of the most feared crews along the south end of Chicago. Talicio stood confidently among them, speaking their coded phrases. On the table lay a backpack, plain, innocent, but holding something that would shape Antony's future. Antony reached for it, unaware that inside were high-value narcotics from the gang's recent shipment. He didn't know the details yet, only that he had crossed a line the moment he walked into that room. The next evening, Antony found himself in an abandoned auto shop near Pullman. A tense disagreement erupted. A gang member named Ramos accused Antony of mishandling a pickup. His voice echoed off the empty metal walls. Antony defended himself, but Ramos stepped closer, his tone growing sharp and threatening. Marcus Iron Bear Hale, the gang's leader, watched the confrontation from a dark corner, arms folded across his broad chest. Just when the argument seemed ready to escalate, Iron Bear intervened with a calm but heavy warning. The room fell silent. Antony knew then that nothing about this world was stable. A misunderstanding could be fatal. Weeks turned into months. Antony went deeper into the gang's rhythm. His school life began to fade, and the criminal world became familiar. Some nights, when the pressure grew too heavy, he turned to the same drugs the crew handled. Iron Bear noticed his dependence. Instead of helping, he tightened his grip. He assigned Antony more responsibilities, delivering packages, observing rival movements, running errands that blurred moral lines. Antony didn't fully understand how he got here. It felt like he had drifted into a river whose current he could no longer fight. Meanwhile, the Black Timber Crew operated on a much larger scale than Antony initially thought. Their primary buyer was Alexander Moretti, a wealthy and influential Canadian tycoon living in Toronto. Moretti was the kind of man who could attend a political fundraiser in the morning, negotiate multi-million-dollar deals in the afternoon, and quietly manage a narcotics operation at night. He had a reputation for being calculating, patient, and dangerously intelligent. Money wasn't just power for him, it was a weapon. Moretti hated depending on Iron Bear. He believed that someone of his intellect shouldn't rely on street criminals. He wanted the entire operation for himself. To achieve that, he sent Roxanne Leclerc, his mistress and a trained corporate infiltrator from Montreal. Roxanne had a gift. She could blend into any environment and extract information without raising suspicion. It took months for her to weave her way into Chicago's nightlife. She began frequenting clubs near River North, where ambitious people gathered. Entrepreneurs, hustlers, even mid-level criminals trying to climb the ladder. Slowly, Roxanne found connections that led her closer to Iron Bear's circle. When they finally met, Iron Bear was unexpectedly charmed by her confidence and allure. Within months, she became someone he trusted. He led her into his personal space, unaware she was observing everything with quiet precision. Roxanne collected details, Calumet Harbor loading schedules, names of shipping companies that collaborated with the crew's truck routes, and even the custom bypass methods they used to avoid detection. She quietly photographed documents, scanned notebooks, and studied patterns. When her mission was complete, she left Chicago without warning. During this time, Antony had gradually become one of Iron Bear's most dependable couriers. His clean student identity was the perfect cover. He dressed like any ordinary grad student. He carried textbooks, notebooks, and school papers. His luggage contained double linings with carefully constructed hidden compartments. He knew which airports had more lenient checks, which immigration officers preferred efficiency, and how to maintain calm eye contact to appear harmless. Antony wasn't bold, just desperate to survive. Then came the biggest assignment, escorting a major package from Calumet Harbor to Moretti in Toronto. The shipment had arrived on a cargo vessel through the Great Lakes route. This run required strategy. Antony used a clever decoy method, a visible backpack with harmless items, while the actual contraband was concealed inside a custom-stitched lining deep within his suitcase. He wore a professional outfit, carried academic documents, and kept a composed expression. Immigration officers saw only a young student. When he delivered the package to Moretti at a high-rise condo overlooking Harborfront Center, Moretti paid him immediately. The tycoon was polite but distant, already thinking ahead. He knew this would be the final transaction. Roxanne had already given him everything he needed to destroy Iron Bear's operation. Moretti executed his plan with military precision. He hired a specialized team to infiltrate Calumet Harbor. They studied port routines, forged clearance badges, and identified the weak spots where security was minimal during shift transitions. On the night of the heist, they blended into the port's operations like any other workers. They rerouted an entire container under the cover of routine unloading. No alarms, no suspicions. By dawn, the shipment was on another vessel heading toward Canada. When Iron Bear discovered the loss, his rage was like nothing the crew had ever seen. The port authorities reported no forced entry, no suspicious activity, nothing unusual on the cameras. That level of precision could only mean one thing: an inside betrayal. Iron Bear immediately thought of Roxanne. He ordered Antony to investigate Roxanne's past. Antony dug through hotel records, online traces, financial patterns, anything. The deeper he searched, the clearer the truth became. Roxanne was deeply connected to Alexander Moretti. Iron Bear's suspicions were finally confirmed. He gave Antony a final assignment: eliminate both Roxanne and Moretti. Antony prepared carefully: fake IDs, burner phones, flight routes. But one gang member, tempted by Moretti's money, betrayed him. Moretti's people were informed about Antony's identity and travel schedule. By the time Antony arrived at O'Hare Airport, law enforcement had already been alerted. He was detained, not for drugs, but for carrying unauthorized weapons connected to an attempted hit on a politically connected figure. Within hours, Antony was processed for detention. Meanwhile, Moretti quietly erased the betrayer, not physically, but financially, socially, and professionally. The man became irrelevant, unable to regain his former life. Antony's arrest made headlines for days. Foreign student tied to underworld figures became the story journalists recycled. In prison, everything slowed down. The noise of the outside world faded. Antony's past finally caught up with him. This is where the deeper truth of his life comes into focus. Antony had been born in Kisumu, Kenya, into a strong Christian home. His parents believed in prayer, discipline, and moral grounding. The family attended church faithfully: Sunday services, youth meetings, Bible study. Antony grew up singing in church, taking part in youth outreach, and participating in mission events. His values were shaped by the Christian training his parents instilled in him. At Kisumu Boys High School, Antony was known for being disciplined, intelligent, and humble. Even when financial challenges hit the family, his determination never wavered. His parents prayed diligently over his education. When he earned an A-plane in his KCSE exams, they wept with joy. His scholarship to the University of Illinois Chicago felt like an answered prayer, a golden path to uplift the whole family. Chicago felt like a dream at first: tall buildings, new friends, endless opportunities. But in a foreign land, with little guidance and new temptations, Antony drifted. Meeting Talicio marked the beginning of that drift. Slowly, unknowingly, Antony detached from the Christian foundation that once anchored him. Prison was where everything changed. Inside Stateville, Antony was protected by Black Timber crew members already serving sentences, but isolation still hit him hard. Nights were long and silent. With nothing left to distract him, his thoughts wandered to his family's prayers, his childhood church, the songs he used to sing, and the person he once was. A pastor visited weekly, offering conversations that slowly rebuilt Antony's faith. He rediscovered prayer. He confronted his regrets. Bit by bit, he reconnected with the Christian identity he had once abandoned. Today, Antony remains in prison. But he is no longer the confused, desperate young man who walked into the gang's world. His story is not one of violence. It is one of missteps, deception, survival, and eventually, return. He lives with regret, but also with hope. His faith became his anchor once again. And though he cannot undo the choices he made, he has learned that even the darkest chapters can lead a person back to the truth they once knew. Antony's story is a reminder that one wrong step can change everything, but faith can still bring a person home. Subscribe and don't forget to like and share. Thanks for watching. Look out for more true Kenyan stories in my channel.